Because the tone that was set very early on was one that I think as they like to say, Cheryl was on one today. So, uh, the tone was set, and as we share with them, definitely.
Okay, hello everybody. If you have questions for Nicki Collen, please raise your hand in the chat and I'll call on you. All right, Pepper, go for it.
Hi, Coach. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
What are some positive takeaways from today's scrimmages against the Sun?
I thought that for the most part, we screened well, which was a focus for us yesterday to be better screeners. I thought for the most part against a team that's really, really good in transition. Um, you know, Alyssa Thomas, when she gets the ball in her hands and the open floor, is really hard to guard. And we struggled at times to guard her. But for the most part, we got back. We made her make tough plays, and she certainly made her fair share. But, for the most part, a lot of it was getting better in transition defense. What the other takeaway from it is we have absolutely got to be better on the defensive boards. We've got to collectively defensive rebound because I would say our one weakness overall in the scrimmage was keeping Connecticut off the glass. And they played some really big lineups and they really attacked the glass with their bigs, quite frankly, and their wings.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Okay, Bailey, go ahead.
Hi, Nicki. You talked after the last scrimmage that you thought Betnijah played really well and impressed you. How did you see her play today?
She was the best player on our team today, playing really consistently, making shots, really, really solid on defense. She's good on the ball. She's good off the ball. We can switch with her. She can battle in the post. She just plays with a ton of energy. But right now she's making her pull-up jump shot. She's making open threes. And she's really doing a good job when she puts the ball on the floor of either scoring or finding open teammates. So I would say start to finish, she was our most consistent player today again.
Doug Feinberg, go ahead.
Hey, Nicki. This may be a somewhat dumb question, but you've coached a couple of scrimmages now. Is it just basketball? Is there anything different? I mean, does the way you coach different because the virus at all? Is there spread out on the bench? Or is it just the same as it was last year and the year before? Or it's just coaching a basketball game?
Yeah, I would say it's the same, honestly. Like when we get to step out onto the court, it's the one time where it feels normal. Certainly when we're wearing masks around the hotel or, when we're around other people, that's when you feel like it's different. But when we get on the court and, I know that there will be protocols in place for games, but right now the fact that we're all testing, obviously, and we're allowed to intermingle this week, it's just basketball. I mean, players are screening each other, hitting each other, fouling each other, competing. I think the toughest part I would tell you in these scrimmages is that we're used to preseason scrimmages being officiated by WNBA officials. And, quite frankly, all coaches will tell you they are not officials. And it's hard to call a game when you're also trying to coach it. So, it got a little chippy at times in terms of what was and wasn't being called. But I would say that was the biggest difference in our scrimmages here is just the idea that we don't have a whistle on it or 3 players surrounding the court. So I would say that's the biggest difference. Otherwise, it feels the same.
Thanks.
Gary Thomas, go ahead.
Hi, Coach Nicki.
Hey, you.
Could you just talk about a little bit about the environment? I know everything is a little different, but just talk about your everyday life of managing your team and just how you're able to take some time out for yourself.
Yeah, I would say that, I heard Sue Bird say it's a little bit summer camp, a little bit Olympic Village. I can honestly say I've never been in the Olympic Village, so I'm just going to have to take her word for it on that. A little bit AAU. It's just, for the most part, especially because we're on this cyclical schedule where there's 4 teams that practice at once around here. You're on the same schedule as a lot of other teams. So you kind of see the same faces every morning at breakfast because, the teams that practice at 9 are up a little earlier and then you're eating lunch with them. But I think, with this earlier practice slot, by the time 1 o'clock hits, we're kind of like shutting down a little bit. Our players are doing a lot of therapy, with the athletic trainer. But that's my downtime. Yesterday was the first day that I was able to come over and get a lift in that wasn't a banded lift in my room. So it was nice to be able to come over and get in the weight room here because that's kind of me time, always has been. It's kind of my workout, whether it's lifting, running, being on an elliptical, whatever it is. So, that was kind of early afternoon. We always have our COVID testing built in, which has been in the evening for us in this morning practice slot. And then we tend to eat dinner together as a staff and talk about the next day. I write practice in the evenings. I have a hard time writing practice right after I'm done. I tend to watch the scrimmage, kind of take some notes, circle back to my staff, and then I usually do practice at night. I'm enjoying this earlier time slot because it feels like there's more of the day. When we were in the 1 to 4 time slot, you really weren't done until early evening. So, I've kind of enjoyed this early practice slot, but, maybe sit by the pool. Although I have to be honest with you, like in the last probably week, we've gotten to normal Florida weather as someone who lived in Florida for 4 years, where about 3 o'clock every day, it's going to start raining and it's going to rain for a couple hours. So I'm not getting a lot of pool time. But we're off tomorrow and we've got a 9:30 a.m. tee time. So my staff will be on the course.
Edwin Powell, go ahead.
Hey, good morning, Coach. You have 3 rookies that are getting their first taste of the WNBA and all that is. How would you assess how they're kind of getting indoctrinated to this new league that they're in?
Yeah, I think today was an interesting day for Kennedy because she went against 2 all-league defenders in pick and rolls all day long. So, between Jasmine Thomas, who's been on the all-defensive team in this league, and Alyssa Thomas, who's as aggressive a defender as there is. If she isn't on the all-defensive team, she should be. I think today was a realistic look at how difficult at times it's going to be for her. And I thought she handled it well. There are times when she fights aggression with aggression and just has to continue to make good decisions in terms of whether to shoot it or pass it. I thought when she touches the paint and passes it, we're a really, really good team. When she gets into one-on-one and taking jump shots, she's more than capable of making them. But, I think she's easy to stand around and watch. She's so spectacular with the basketball in her hands. That I like when the ball bounces around and everybody's getting involved. But she's a high level talent. Connecticut had a hard time staying between her and the basket today. And those are as good a defenders in the pick and roll as you'll see. So she's been really good. Certainly has a lot to learn, has to learn to play consistent, has to learn to not settle when she gets tired. A good scorer, but makes us better when she's really dropping passes inside and out. That's when we're at our best. I think the other 2 are probably, and Kennedy's someone we're going to have to rely on. We need her to grow up fast. We need her to be impactful. We need her to be confident. We need her to, kind of understand what we do and why we do it. The other 2 will not be rushed. I don't expect Jalen and Britt to get a ton of playing time early in the season. I look at them as developmental players that have certain skill sets. Jalen is a high level shooter, but has to be confident enough to take open threes consistently. I think the speed of the game sometimes, she'll get open and, will hesitate and, not take an open 3. And she's just one of those players that when she turns down a 3, it might as well be a turnover because that's how good a 3-point shooter she is. So when she gets to the point that she understands the speed of this game, she could be a really, really effective player. I just think we're going to bring her along slowly. And the same with Britt. We signed Brittany Brewer or, drafted her as a player that we thought had a lot of upside, has played some 5, can really rim run. Eventually we feel like can pick and pop and play in the pick and pop game. But, just the physicality of the post in this game, it's just going to take time for her to adapt. So I think both those players are playing really hard. They have great attitudes. They get extra shots up anytime they can. They listen, they learn. They're happy to be in the WNBA right now. And I think they both know that they have a lot of strides to make, especially in back-to-back scrimmages, seeing what it really looks like and feels like. But, happy to have them as a part of the dream.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Peace.
Okay, if you have questions for Betnijah, Laney, please raise your hand in the chat. Start with Edwin Powell.
Good morning, Betnijah. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Coach said you did really well today. And I'm curious as to how you felt out there. What really went well for you today?
I'm sorry. It was just a bit of an echo for the start of your question, so I didn't really get to hear you.
I just asking what really went well for you today in the scrimmage. Coach said you had a really good scrimmage today.
Oh yeah. I think it started on defense. We came out aggressive and up in them. And so, defense for me, that translates into offense. So I just came out, took the shots that I had and made them. So yeah.
Bailey Johnson, go ahead.
Nicki's been really complimentary of your offensive game and said you've become a more well-rounded player. What specifically did you work on to improve that part of your game?
I think just knowing like the scouting report on me before, people always want to go under screens. I wasn't considered a shooter, so that was something that I really took into the all season to working on, just expanding my game. So making sure that I'm able to knock down the open three, making sure, that I continue to work on my mid-range, coming off screens, just being ready, just making sure that that I'm attacking and not just, just out there. So making sure that I'm a threat and, because that'll open up the floor for myself as well as my teammates.
Edwin Powell, do you have another question?
Yeah, just curious, Betnijah, how is your style of play meshing with the style that Coach Nicki and everybody wants to run over at the Dream?
I think it's really good because I'm an athlete, and so that's kind of the way that our offense is ran. We just get out and run, and our plays aren't really walking it up and setting up a play. So a lot of it is transition, and our initial plays are quick. We're getting through everything, and so I think that's been what's really working for me.
Okay, thank you, Betnijah.
Thank you.
Edwin Powell, go ahead.
Good morning, Alexis.
Morning.
Just curious as to what your thoughts were on the scrimmage that you guys had today. What would look good? What things you feel you guys have to work on?
I think right now is just working on building that chemistry right now. Building the chemistry, learning the plays, and just trying to execute everything Coach is trying to harp on us about. And that's just pace, knowing the plays, and our defensive concepts.
And just kind of a follow-up, this is year 4 for you. What kind of level of comfort do you feel going into this season?
I feel a real good level of comfort. I just want to go out there and play hard and and show what I can do and do what I do best.
Bailey Johnson, go ahead.
Just about the format of today's scrimmage, was it pretty similar to what y'all did with Washington the other day?
Yeah, pretty similar. We ran 5-on-5, up and down, and then we did half-court possessions.
Carrie Thomas, go ahead.
Hi, I guess my question to you would be, what was the toughest part of today's scrimmage? Would you say it was the chemistry, or what was the toughest part?
I think the toughest part was, just trying to keep that consistent pace and knowing time and score for me, and and also making sure that running the plays right and making sure that everybody's in the right position and making sure the flow is a good flow. A lot of times I think when I was out there, we had a lot of miscommunication and not understanding. So I think that's just coming with, learning the team and also going back to, knowing my plays.
Thank you.
All right, last call for questions. All right, thank you, Alex.